pretty nice run up here in this corn, bean, and wheat market. And a week or two ago, we covered, the potential for the seasonal rally, and it looks like it's here. So now what we want to do is look at some strategies as far as rewarding this market. Keep in mind, it's just so much easier, in our opinion, to sell when the market is going higher rather than watch the market break and then try and make sales decisions. So today we're going to look at fence strategies. Keep in mind, everything we're talking about in the video is for education and example purposes. Make sure that you guys understand the risk involved, that you're comfortable with the risk, and that it fits your risk parameters as we go through this information. Well, like I said, we're going to talk about fences, and what we're doing is this is a hedge strategy against physical bushels. This is a key word here. You need the physical bushels. Well, what are you doing? Well, you're buying a put, and at the same time, you're selling a call to help finance the put. Well, what does the long put do? That sets a price floor. Selling the call sets a price ceiling, and we'll get into that a little bit more in the next few slides. Why would you use this strategy? Well, this is a good strategy to diversify your sales if you want to challenge the markets and give yourself the potential for some upside while setting a price floor so that if you're wrong or that you don't want to pull the trigger here, you're not getting run over on a down move. So this is what it looks like. This is your weekly March 25 corn chart, and using a 450 call and a 410 put, this is what your option fence would look like. You'd have your price floor down below at 410, you'd have your ceiling up at 450. Here's your weekly front month chart. As you can see, since the beginning of the year, we really haven't had too many weekly closes above 450. So this is one of the things that makes this attractive to us. Let's challenge the market and see if we can't go get called away at that 450 price. But at the same time, if the market breaks, we like knowing and putting our head on the pillow at night, knowing that we've got a 410 floor in place in case this thing wants to come all the way back to 360. So here's breaking down how this whole fence position works. Using the March corn contract, what you're going to do is you're going to buy or be long a 410 put, and that's going to cost you 12 cents. Then you're going to simultaneously sell or be short a 450 call, and you're going to collect 12 cents in option premium. And that's where the financing comes in. This is going to bring your net effective price on the position to 0 cents. Now, you can certainly spend a nickel or a dime, or you could even collect premium if you want to. Make sure you call your advisor and figure out how to do that. But in this example, we're going to use 12 and 12 for easy math, and we'll show you what's going to happen here at a later slide. Now, keep in mind, we didn't include your commissions or fees, and this is going to be a marginable position. So let's fast forward to the end of February when the March options expire. If March corn futures are at 480, you're going to be called away on that 450 sold call. You're going to miss out on that 30 cents. But what you need to keep in mind is that when you put this position on, the market was at 430. And so you were willing to sell that call in the hopes of getting a 20-cent improvement up at 450. So in other words, rather than sell today at 430, you've decided to put a fence on and challenge the market and say, hey, come take my corn from me. I'll give it to you at 450. In this instance, it happened to go to 480. Likely you'll have some more bushels to sell, and you can bring your average price up. Now, if the market is at 380, you're going to get put to at 410. So in the same scenario, you're giving up selling that 430 corn today, and you're going to take a little bit of a hit, losing that 20 cents as compared to selling at 430, and you're going to get a 410 price floor. Now, granted, the nice thing is you didn't get stuck at 380. So when you do these fence positions, when you set the price floor, when you're buying that put, and you're selling that call, make sure you can live with the upside and the downside moves. Now, here's another way to look at this, and we hope this clears up a little bit of how margin works. But when the futures price goes higher, you have to keep in mind the grain in the bin is going higher with the futures price, as well as next year's crop in most instances. Now, the drawback is going to be your hedge account is going to be showing a loss because that call option is going to be gaining in value. And this is where I think producers struggle. They see the loss in their hedge account and forget that the overall corn market and their overall inventory is going higher, which is really a good problem to have. I think everybody would prefer higher prices than lower. So as you can see on the right box here, if futures price goes lower, we have to remember our grain in the bin is also getting cheaper. Next year's crop is also getting cheaper, but sure, our hedge account is green. And that might make you feel good, but consider this. If corn is at 480, like in our first example, you probably have DEES 25 at, let's just say it's closer to $5. Well, we would rather have that scenario and a little bit of margin call than have current crop at 380 and DEES 25 at 4. Sure, you have that gain in your hedge account, but ask yourself for your farm operation as a whole, what is going to be better for your operation? Now, keep in mind, what margin call is if you don't have enough money in your hedge account as the market goes higher, you'll be asked to deposit more to continue to cover that futures contract or that option contract going against you, if you will. So that's all a margin call is. So in theory, you could put $1 million in your hedge account and likely not ever have to worry about having a margin call if you're only doing 2, 3, or 4 fence positions covering 10 or 15,000 bushels. Now that's an extreme example, but we just want to kind of paint the picture of how these margin calls work so that you can be comfortable if this is something that you'd like to do. So here's the margin budget that we would consider for a fence position like this. Your initial margin is going to be about $1,000 per fence position, which covers 5,000 bushels. You're then going to want to have some margin excess to hopefully give you some wiggle room to avoid that first initial margin call. We would budget about 50 cents. Now you're going to say, hey, the math doesn't add up here. 50 cents on 5,000 bushels is 2,500, and you would be right. The thing about options is there's usually a little bit of option volatility that gets priced in if this market moves higher, and so that's where we want to give ourselves that extra wiggle room. So we're calling it 3,000 in margin excess. So your net budget would cover about $4,000 per fence, or about 5,000 bushels to get something like this on, and cover roughly a 50-cent move against you, or if the market were to go higher. This is not necessarily a home run strategy. What we're trying to do here is diversify our price risk on our grain. And what we mean by that is typically you're making cash sales, which are pretty final, right? You sell at 430, that's the price you get. If you put a fence on, you're saying, I'm willing to take somewhere between 410 and 450 for this corn. Most guys obviously are hoping for 450, but we can't quite guarantee that. So that's what you're doing. Maybe you've made a cash sale and now you want to try and give this market a little bit more room, but not get run over to the downside. This would be how you diversify out that strategy. Like we said, and going back to slide 6, which shows the arrows in relation to the futures price in your hedge account, to us, we feel that higher prices are a good problem to have for your overall farming operation. You have to keep in mind that this is technically a covered call position. When you have the physical bushels and you're shorting a call, it's very similar to being long the paper and shorting a call. The biggest difference, unfortunately, is that if you were long paper and short the call, your margin would be covered by your long paper. In this instance, you're long the board, so you have to put some cash margin into your account. But at the end of the day, when you sell those physical bushels against that sold call, the prices are going to come together and bring you back pretty close to that net price of $4.50 in our example. Now remember, if you want to decrease the chance of having a margin call, budget excess in your hedge account to prevent that. And then lastly, guys, ask questions. It's okay to ask questions if you've never done this or if you aren't comfortable on it. We find that it takes guys usually a few times of seeing this information before they're willing to do something. The other thing you might want to consider, especially if you're an operator that maybe has 100,000 bushels, maybe put 5,000 of these on. You're likely not going to get hurt by doing this, but you'll probably learn something and see how this market moves. So later on, you can find out if this is right for you or not. Like I said, if you guys have questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're more than happy to help. As always, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave us a comment below. Let us know what you think of the material. We always look forward to making these videos for you.